Alrighty. It is 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting of the Charter Township of Garfield Board to order with a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First item on our agenda tonight is public comment. We have. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. Ian, can we have a roll call, please?
Schmuckel.
Here.
McCumber.
Cumber.
Sorry, here.
L. McManus.
Here.
Augustinelli.
Here.
Korn.
Here.
Lapp.
Here.
And Joe McManus.
Yeah, here. Thank you. Sorry about that. Now we'll move on to the first item on our agenda is public comment. We have public comment at the beginning and the end of each meeting. And we have at least one, I think, public input on an item tonight as well. So ask anybody who'd like to come forward. Just state your name and preferably your township or city of residence. And let us know what you have to say in 3 minutes or less. So we'll open up public comment.
Scott Newman Bale on Peaceful Valley in Acme Township, also one of the new owners at Logan's Landing on South Airport Road as well. Just wanted to come in and introduce myself. I know a lot of you through other channels and with the school board and other many hats I unfortunately wear in the community, but today is just the agenda item of obviously, but really I just wanted to come in and introduce myself to give you a source of any questions. I'm sure this is going to be a large topic of discussion over a very long period of time, so I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Justin Reed, 630 Cottage Drive, Apartment 1B, Traverse City, Michigan. There's going to be a discussion item on Red Drive today. So part of that discussion is hopefully about the dirt road portion of the of Red Drive. I've noticed that some of the debris from Red Drive has gone into the creek tributary right next to the road. The Conservation District hired somebody to do the grading of that road, and to my understanding is when they do the grading and it widens the road up a little bit more, and so if we got a flood, some of that debris goes into that tributary creek right next to the road, and that road has a high side to it. So where that culvert is at on Red Drive it's showing. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? I don't see any of our student guests tonight running forward to say hi, so if there's no other public comment, we'll go ahead and close first public comment, bring it back to the board. You do have an amended agenda in front of you this evening. If anybody has any changes or suggested changes they'd like to make, otherwise I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda.
Support.
Motion made and supported to approve the amended agenda. Boy, I need one of those beers out of this for earlier. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consent calendar.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with in one board motion without discussion. Any member of the board, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted in parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single board action adopting the consent calendar. Tonight you have minutes, May 12th, 2026, Township Board regular meeting, recommend approval. The bills from the general fund, $239,400.07, recommend approval. Consideration of investment policy annual approval by board, recommend approval. Consideration of Copper Ridge PUD major amendment, 4050 Barnes Road, introduction and schedule public hearing for June 23rd, 2026, recommend approval. Consideration of mixed-use suburban mobile food vending units zoning ordinance amendments. Introduction and schedule public hearing for June 23rd, 2026. Recommend approval. And consideration of mobile food vending unit licensing ordinance. Introduction and schedule public hearing for June 23rd, 2026. Recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. Is there any item anybody on the board would like to have removed and placed elsewhere for discussion? Any item staff would like to have removed? Any item anybody in the public would like to have removed and placed elsewhere? Hearing none, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Support.
Motion made and supported to approve the consent calendar as presented. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, Ann, could we have a roll call, please?
Corn.
Yes.
Was that Lap?
Yes.
Lap. L. McManus.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
Gustinelli.
Yes.
Schmuckel.
Yes.
And J. McManus.
Yes, thank you. All right. Next item is correspondence. In your packet is a Grand Traverse County Road Commission update. I think Al's here somewhere else on the agenda this evening, so we'll go ahead and move on to our county commissioners' report.
Hi, everybody. I'm Fern Spence. I'm your county commissioner for District 4, which covers this part of Garfield Township and part of Blair Township. We had two back-to-back Board of Commission meetings. One was May 13th and the other was May 20th. So I would give a brief update about what happened with both that are pertinent to what's going on in this township. Our Munson Crisis Center was, they gave an update at the May 13th meeting. They are running 24/7. They've been doing that since July of 2025, but they are on track to expand their services to have 9 adult crisis residential beds later this year, and they will have 6 pediatric crisis residential beds in 2027. So they are on schedule, and we were updated with their number of visits and their operations. We had an emergency management update during that meeting as well regarding the April event that will segue into our May 20th regular board meeting, because at that board meeting we discussed possibly adding a public information officer for our 2027 budget, and this public information officer would be tasked with issues like what happened during the April event, as well as other things. Also at the last meeting, we recommended our new ad hoc committee members for our Northern Lakes Community Mental Health, our Traverse Area District Library, the Hospital Finance Authority, our Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, our Economic Development Authority, and our Beta Board. So these are all new board members that were recommended for these various boards. Networks Northwest came in and they gave us an update on their TC Connect relationship. So with their Traverse City Connect, which is kind of our economic development chamber of commerce, if you will, organization, and they are working on site readiness, redevelopment ready communities. They're also doing a parcel map of sewer and water for the region, which is really important when you think about our public works. They also are helping out with some childcare to boost economic development by helping parents go to work who have children. We had a public works discussion at our last meeting that will continue on. There are some aging pipes, culverts that are showing their age, as you know, and asset management planning is very important. So we are moving with those discussions, and there's more to come about that. Tomorrow, we are going to swear in Sam Gedman. He will be our county clerk, who will be replacing Bonnie Shealy, and there is a 2 p.m. Swearing-in session for him at the Government Center, downtown Traverse City. And there's also an upcoming treasurers meeting, which is important to know, between all the township treasurers and our our elected county treasurer. That's coming up June 10th at 11 a.m. It was originally scheduled for June 9th, but he needed to reschedule because he had a conflict, and it is at the Government Center. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Any questions for Fern? Guess not. Thanks.
Thank you.
Moving on to our MMR report.
Hello, everyone. It's a lot different looking out there than March when I was here. And don't take your sunscreen out of the boat like I did yesterday and forgot to put it back in. Got a little sunburnt, but that happens. Anyways, we just finished up EMS week last week, which is a week-long celebration event for our medics and EMTs. We fed them every day, cooked, and played some games. Supervisors did some extra stuff for them, so we try to make them feel as special as they really are. They don't deserve or don't get the recognition that they do deserve. We put 2 new ambulances in service over the last 3 weeks, which is good. They're on the road now, nice and shiny with no new dings, knock on wood. Our paramedic class just entered its 7th week, so they're moving along pretty good. They got a little ways to go, but they're getting there. We did hire a new paramedic 2 weeks ago. She's in the orientation program, so should be on the road and on her own within the next 30 days or so. Chris and I got a chance to meet last month, which went really well. He got a tour of the building. We talked about accomplishments, the hurdles that we have to overcome, where we're going, and also collecting data, which I'll get to in just a second. But also for last month, thanks for excusing me last month and not being here. It was a pretty big day. I dropped my son off at boot camp that afternoon, and I knew I probably wouldn't be in the mindset to come out and do anything, so I went for a long walk. But anyways, last month there was 376 calls in the township here, and then if you notice, there was 159 transfers out of Munson. Some of the stuff that we're looking at, Chris and I talked about developing some more data and some information, is where those 159 calls are going. So just for instance, we had a crew the other day that was held over off their off time by 7 hours because a call came in right at the end of their shift, which was a stat transfer that Munson had deemed it, and then took them downstate for the remainder of the morning and afternoon. So I think that'd be information that would be beneficial too, to see why and how crews are being held over and how long the transfers are actually taken. So if you have 3 or 4 trucks in the community and one of those trucks is gone for 7 or 8 hours, what's that do to the citizens that are here in the coverage? So that's more information to come in the next few months, and I'll get that to you once I get it perfected and looking good.
Thank you.
Other than that, I think that's about it, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Jeff?
I appreciate the information on the transfers too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that's, I don't think the general public understands, what actually happens, and like I've told you before, how sensitive the system is.
Right.
And those are things that I think that if we all are made aware of, it would definitely help.
Yep.
And if any of the students here want a career in EMS, got a good program for you.
I got a question for
question
you.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking at your, the blue table, second or third, where you have all of the different units, and then, GTA 1 had 98, and GTA 2 had 80 and 81, so on. What areas are those? Are those?
Are you looking at the Munson transfer one?
No, I'm.
No.
No.
Nope. Okay. I didn't print that one in color for me. So it'd be Grand Traverse 1, that one. All right. Grand Traverse 1 is here in town, stationed off Park. 11 and 12 are the ones that are stationed in Garfield Township.
Okay.
55 is Elk Rapids, 3 is Whitewater, Acme, and then the other units would be other counties, like CA would be Crawford, Manistee, Cadillac, Wexford. When they come up here, there's times that they do come up here to help support when the system gets overloaded, which we do as well. If a truck comes up here to get a transfer, that may be going back to their area, but a 911 call comes in and they're closest, they'll take that call. Same, which happens to us if we're down in Cadillac or that area to pull a transfer back up. We might drive right into a call.
Okay.
So those are,
Lots of tables this time. Trying to figure them out.
Me too, some days, so.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right, Chris, your manager's report.
All right, list of topics is in your packet. You learned about the YMCA and the cost for remediation and repair when I was not here at the last meeting, but I did bring some sun and warmth back from Arizona, so you're welcome. We recently paid the remediation bill and the construction cost to Cunningham Limp. Hallmark Construction did the construction work, and I believe it was on the 15th of May that the YMCA was able to go back in the building and start conducting regular operations. We met with MSP and FEMA today. There was a meeting with a bunch of stakeholders, our emergency manager, and other officials to just go over all the damage that was reported. And I just gave the officials a report of our damage and just got some further direction from them. So we're just kind of going to be in a waiting pattern to see if we're reimbursed. So at this point, we've done all that we need to do. So just going to kind of be a waiting game. And if I can figure out how long that answer usually takes to get, I'll let you know. But right now, it's kind of unknown. Olson Boulevard, this board wrote a letter to the Road Commission Board several months ago about supporting the Road Commission taking that over as a county road. We've had a series of meetings to discuss that very topic, and the latest one was possibly a few design changes, potentially mini roundabouts to slow traffic down versus the straight road that it is currently with just one curve in it. So as it's kind of designed right now, it's kind of a 55-mile-an-hour road. So it's hard for the road commission to say it should be at 35, 45. But if it is redesigned slightly, they could make an argument that it's slower speed. So the road commission working with the developer's engineer to sort that out. Logan's Landing special assessment. That started quite a long time ago to repave South Logan's. The road commission has finishing up the final design on that, and it'll go out for bids. And the road commission believes that that project will be completed in the fall. So I kind of anticipate, because the time frame that's gone on since that was established as a district, the prices have gone probably over 10%. So we're kind of have to redo a little bit of that. But we won't know that until the bids come back. Flats at Carriage Commons, we've been working with that project. You know, the board's probably aware it's in multiple phases, I believe 5. They're kind of readjusting those. The original pilot was for the whole 200-plus unit development, and what they had learned, each phase may have a different finance company. And one of the current finance company for this next phase was concerned that if there was some default in payment from another phase, how would that hurt their pilot status? So it was a pretty good question. So a way to get around that and to organize it a little better would be potentially to break it down into phases and have separate pilots that kind of go along with the phases, and MSAs to match up as well. So that's something that myself and staff are working on, coming back with potentially 2 new pilots for the 2 phases, that the one that's current and the new one that's they already approved the building permits for it, so it should be moving forward fairly quick, I think, after the environmental impact study. And then one last thing that isn't on my report is Par Plan approved our grant for water monitoring sensors, so we are making arrangements to get those installed. So and that is all I have.
Any questions for Chris? All right. Moving on from supervisor's report, just a couple of things. A couple of BPW topics, just an update on the South Airport and Cass sewer main break, which we've been dealing with for quite a while now. We do have a plan in place. We had another meeting, I believe, end of May, a week or so ago, and came up with a plan that's going to be a lot quicker, less disruptive to traffic, and I believe they're going to start on June 6th or June 8th. It should take about a week to get that done. So it's actually good news. We need to get that fixed. We've tried all kinds of different options that might have been less intrusive to traffic, but there just wasn't any other options that worked. I'm sure you by now you're aware we had a water main break over on Garfield last Thursday, and another iron ductile pipe that corroded and sprung a couple of leaks. It's amazing how a couple of 2-inch holes can put that much water out, but it did and caused a lot of damage. But that was a pretty quick fix. They were able to get it fixed that same day and repaved by the next day, so not a lot of disruption to traffic there, thankfully. I did attend a county Board of Commissioners meeting, as Fern talked about, and they officially assigned an ad hoc committee to continue discussions with the BPW board on the issues we have and moving forward plans. So they actually have a officially designated 3 people to sit down with BPW members and keep those conversations rolling. So that's good news. As Chris said, he talked about the Olson project. I won't beat that up, other than it's really important to Cherryland. They're the first people going in there. They don't want 55-mile-an-hour traffic. There's going to be a lot of emergency vehicles, a lot of trucks going in and out of their property. So getting a road that carries traffic at 45 mile an hour or less is really important to them. So the newest design we came up with, or the road, through discussions with Olson, looks like it could work pretty well. So, and then later on our agenda, we're talking about Red Drive. We'll mention some stuff there. We're going to talk about it a little bit tonight, but we actually have a stakeholders meeting tomorrow scheduled with all the stakeholders within the Commons area. So we'll be talking about it tonight and then bring it back in a couple weeks. So that's all I had. Any questions for me? Yeah.
So do we have an inventory of the clay pipes that we have? We've had these 2 breaks, and I'm just wondering if the board should be giving some attention to set up a process of whatever those little sections are. Let's, proactively get them out of there.
Yeah, actually, we met with the engineer a couple times. The actual clay pipes with the sewer, and there's only one section of that left, I believe. Get Jennifer's attention. So we've identified that, and we actually have a plan. Once we get this broken one repaired, there's one section left, and we have a plan to get that, what they call slip lining, is put a new pipe through that lot, not having to open it up. So we have that. The water mains, the last 2, I think Frankie Road and Garfield, were actually iron pipe, and they, in both cases, they were situated, and they went in the early 90s, so you're talking 30 years ago they've been in the ground, but they should have held up, but in both cases, they've identified like maybe a section of clay that was up against the iron pipe instead of sand, or stone that somehow got backfilled at that time, and that caused deterioration in both those cases. So it's really, where it shouldn't have had a problem, it did. It's something that happened 30 years ago. So we're working on some plans to identify the oldest pipes and at least keep our eye on them and maybe try to find, but the clay pipe, we're down to one section, and that we should have that taken care of. Hopefully by the end of the year, we're kind of hoping to get that done. So,
Okay, thanks.
any other questions for me? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item is unfinished business. This is a public hearing, consideration of proposed ordinance number 82 to provide for a service charge in lieu of taxes for dwelling units for workforce housing, resolution 2026-14-T. So, Chris, I don't know if you would.
Just hold the public hearing and then
Yeah, okay.
go into discussion.
We've talked about this a lot, been on our agenda a lot, so I don't see John here tonight, so we'll just go ahead and open up the public hearing. If anybody would like to talk to this topic, now is your opportunity. Come forward, let us know your name and your township or city of residence, and let us know what you have to say. Not seeing anybody come forward, we'll close public hearing, bring it back to the board for discussion. Do you have any questions or comments about the ordinance? We've been working on this ordinance for several months, so the committee, so, yeah, Greg, John.
I did learn that the county has adopted a policy,
Okay.
and it caps it at 100%.
Right,
So we don't, the 120 is a moot point.
right, but the state allows 120, right?
Right.
Okay.
But the county has veto power, and they've
Okay.
stated 100.
So ours matches more the state policy, but I know, like you say, the county can do what they want to do, I guess, so.
They can get in our way.
Well,
They do.
yeah,
Get in our way.
often. Yes, sir.
I was going to reference that. So the county updated their policy in November of '25, says the preference is at least 50% of the units with a minimum of 20% of the units for a project must be rented for less than 100% AMI. So that was recently updated.
So we cannot go to the 120%. Is that right?
That's
Is that
correct.
what
If
you're
you were to,
saying?
approve a
100%,
project for
that's it.
120, if it went to the county for the current approval, they could deny it. They probably would based on that policy.
Is it worth it for us to get in sync with the county or just go ahead and?
If you wanted, my thoughts were if you wanted to, make this board's position that we wanted to provide housing that was 120, you could tell the community that, but at the end of the day, the county wouldn't support it. Or you could stay at, internally when you review these, just, keep it at 100. Or you can adjust the ordinance to no higher than 100, but like Trustee Corn said, that's what the law is 120. Fits the law.
I'm concerned about confusion and having somebody come back and read ours and say, well, you said 120%, now you're saying 100%, and
Another thing too is that, policies are just that. Any day they could change. The county could have a new board that says, well, we want to provide opportunities for people at 120. So then if that were to happen, then we would have to change our ordinance to match it. So, I don't know, just a lot of different ways of looking at it.
Why would we want to provide a pilot that goes up to 120%?
Because those are some of the people that we've had trouble hiring.
At the 120% of median,
Right.
which
So when somebody
median
wants.
right now is about what? For a single-family home, it's about 70,000?
I think that's all right, yeah.
Okay, well, how much does a new nurse at Munson make per year?
I don't know.
It's not 120% of 70,000,
Okay.
or a new teacher at TCAPS.
I don't think 70, for a family of four, 70,000.
I don't think so.
Not for a,
It'd be nice to see that median chart, because it's
yeah.
120% of the median is not what I know to be the workforce that we're having a hard time bringing to this area that we need in this area.
Okay, we have,
but it's the county that's got the problem. They're saying not more than 100%. We're
Right,
saying-
to allow the pilot, we're incentivizing a higher income level with a lower tax rate. I'm saying we don't need to incentivize that higher income level with lower taxes, because what are we accomplishing?
It sounds like we can't do it anyway.
yeah, my only experience has been bringing in people who are going to be in that 100 to 120 range, and they can't find a place to live.
Yeah, a lot
So-
of people can't.
And I realize you may not think those people are necessary, but we really struggle to hire them.
I don't doubt it. We, every organization in this region struggles to bring talented people because they can't find housing.
Exactly, and I think the wider we make the range, the higher we make the range, that offers that flexibility and that relief to more people. If you cap it at 100, then, capping it at 120 doesn't mean we don't offer it below that. It just means that's the most we would offer it for. As a committee, we felt following the state guideline was more important than following the county guideline. So I'm more comfortable following the state law than the county recommendation. I'd rather put the pressure on the county to follow state law than me follow the county. So state has a law up to 120. They feel that group of people up to 120% of the median income all need help and need assistance in finding affordable housing. And I tend to agree with them. So, yeah.
Does the state have a floor? Because I know we said not greater than 120, or why didn't the committee just set a limit to how low? Because low-income pilots cover a certain percentage.
They go down to 0 income.
Okay, so is there a limit by the state how low you can go for this?
For
For
workforce.
workforce
For work-
housing?
yeah, for this
I
one,
believe
sorry.
it's 60%,
80%, but
60 or 80.
yeah.
Okay. I was just curious if we should put the range, not just below, but the actual 80 to 120.
And Chris?
The law, I don't believe, mentions a bottom, but when you look at the norm, it's 60 to 120
Okay.
is what I've found. So it's not in the law, so that's why it wasn't added to the ordinance.
Okay.
And I do have one other quick comment too, is, administratively, ordinances are a little bit lengthier time to approve. That policy can be quickly done. So if you keep the ordinance matching the law, you create an internal policy that says, it's this board's desire, just like the county, to not go above 100 different percentages, and let that be your guiding document, and then you can change it according to the priorities when they change or the board changes. And just keep the ordinance to fit the statute. Just some thoughts.
Any other questions, comments, or if not,
I have a question on section 5 in the establishment of annual service charge. Number 1, housing developments approved for tax exemption under this ordinance shall pay a service charge in the amount equal to 10% of annual shelter rent. I think if I recall, the development that was asking for this, the rent was about $1,800 a month. And they have how many units?
Yeah. I don't, they were only doing a percentage of them, so I don't think it's all of their units.
Okay. I'm curious how that 10% compares to what their full taxable rate is.
So this is from the committee. I'm not on the committee, but this was
Right.
given to me. This was prepared by the assessor, and this particular example was for 80% AMI. Their taxes that they would pay without a pilot was about 1.4 million. And then if they got a 10% pilot, it would be 737,000. So almost a $700,000 savings in taxes. So it's very significant savings for a development. So that's why this is a lot to consider. Now Garfield will still get our millage because of the MSA, but you're essentially taking away tax revenue for all of the other taxing authorities.
And several of them have options to opt out as well. Certain agencies can opt out of these as well. So, and you see that more and more where they're opting out. So.
So that's,
Right, Chris?
So if this gets approved, though, and then considering then the next agenda item about forming a committee, any developer will submit an application, the committee will review it, and then it'll have to come back to this board for approval again.
Right.
So this doesn't approve anything, other than, the terms of the ordinance and saying that, we could charge up to a 10% service fee. We also reserve the right to negotiate a lower one if we want, like 6 or 8%. But that will be, could be discussed in a committee, brought back to this board as a recommendation, and then reconsidered project by project.
and we don't, this is all kind of what if. We
What-
don't
oh, sure.
actually have an application yet.
I understand
So
that, yeah.
that, everything is pending, that application.
So even if we have this pilot in place, it doesn't mean that a particular development that maybe already exists today
Right.
could automatically receive this.
That's correct.
They would have to apply for it. And this community development committee would discuss it, then bring it back to this board to say yay or nay.
Right. And then it would go to the county commission for the same process. So there's a couple of hurdles.
Yeah, there's a few hurdles. Good luck.
Well, and without having an ordinance in place, we don't have a set of guidelines to work within. We don't have any guardrails.
Fair
So
enough.
by establishing the ordinance, now we have inform a committee, we have a set of guardrails to go back and approve or disapprove, and then the terms, whether it's a 10%, up to a 10%, it could be less. But it's an important program, we have to have a set of rules that we can follow, or work within, I guess would be a better way to put it. So, any other questions or comments? If not,
I would like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented.
32. Support.
motion was made and supported to adopt Resolution 2026-14-T, which is the proposed ordinance number 88, providing for service charge in lieu of taxes, as presented. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Ann, could we have a roll on that, please?
Corn.
Yes.
Augustinelli.
Yes.
Schmuckel.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
Ellen McManus.
Yes.
Jay McManus.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Next item is consideration of forming a community development committee. So, Chris, as you stated, go ahead.
So if I get to the right, bear with me here.
Page 148, your packet.
Actually, it's got too many things queued up here. So in your packet is a letter that I created to form a committee, a formal standing committee for reviewing pilots, HTIF requests. We had had an ad hoc committee to review a current request that we have, but I really feel like we should form a formal committee who will be charged with all the things that I identified in my letter, reviewing for compliance, how does it fit with the values of our township, our priorities, and then at the end of the day, the committee come together and agree on a recommendation that can come to the board. So, my thought was members could be the township supervisor, myself, the township manager, the planning director, the assessor, and then I figured one township trustee. I did speak with a member of the planning commission today who said, could we maybe assign a trustee who's on a planning commission because they're very familiar with what is going on in the community as far as housing. My thought process there was our planning director was one that I recommended that they would have similar knowledge. And then it'd be nice just to have somebody with a different thought process to be brought into the committee. So again, these are just suggestions. You don't have to fit with that. You can have the members be with, whatever you would like. My thought was as the supervisor, manager, planning director, and assessor would be just standing members that will always be on that, and then the trustee would just be an annual assignment according to our board appointments policy.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Yeah, Molly.
And so your feeling is that John Syke will be able to handle the planning commission part of it? We don't need to have another.
I feel he's valuable to myself as staff and the committee.
I'm
Yeah.
agreeing with you, yeah.
I agree with that, too.
And then the annual trustee would just fall onto the same process we use, or the supervisor recommends committee members at the end of the day.
Lori, would you be interested in that?
Well, I think
I'm
we
not
would-
on the planning commission, though.
We just established, we're just going to
Same,
establish the
you don't
committee
have to do
tonight.
that, no.
We'll bring a recommendation forward
You ask
later
good
for that.
questions.
And you'll do it the same way you do all the
Yes, I'll do it just the same way we do all the other ones,
committee
yeah.
appointment.
I would like to, if we could, in a matter, so we, in case we have applications to review,
We'll
that
go
we
ahead and appoint
actually
it tonight?
form it and do an appointment.
Okay.
Yes, that would help.
All right,
Sounds
so
like
at this point, we would like it to be a trustee, though, not a full, somebody that's in the building, so it comes down to Chuck, Lori, and Denise, and Chuck's. Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
Lori, would you be interested?
I
Okay.
would be.
Because you asked the good questions,
This
and
is an issue that's been a problem for a really long time, and it's only getting worse.
so I suggest the motion include appointing, approving Lori as the trustee member.
I make a motion, a community development committee be created to review housing-related matters as assigned by the board and evaluated housing tax incentives applications. Membership of the committee to include members of township supervisor, township manager, planning director, assessor, and one trustee, Lori, serving a one-year term with assignment made in accordance to the township board appointment policy.
Support.
Motion made and supported to form the Community Development Committee and to appoint Lori Lapp to fill the trustee spot for the newly formed committee. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 7C, discussion on Red Drive. As I mentioned, Chris will take over, it's in your packet, but we did have, Red Drive's been closed for quite some time after the washout, and so we had some numbers thrown together. So I'll let Chris walk through those numbers and lay them out unless you were going to have Jennifer do that. I'm not sure who you were going to have. Were you going to have Jennifer present on this one?
I think she should be available to the board to answer questions, but I'll show some figures I put together.
And we're not looking for a decision to be made tonight because we're going to be meeting with the stakeholders. So we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with representatives from the Barnes Park, the Northwest Ed, Greenspire, Raymond Ravini, the Township. We're all meeting tomorrow to discuss this topic and talk about the numbers and devise a plan. So hopefully devise a plan. So
Is that Ray or Raymond?
Raymond,
Oh,
young Raymond, yeah.
yeah.
So go ahead. Chris.
So I put a pretty detailed letter together for your packet regarding Red Drive and, where we might be wanting drawing information from to make our decision. There's the master plan for the commons, there's the development regulations. I believe this is the development regulations up on the screen, a page from it that talks about Red Drive, the dirt portion, as being a street type A. And actually, this might have been out of the study that was done between HRC and GFA.
It's actually out of the master plan, I believe, the
Okay.
master plan.
And so they've identified that section as being a section of drive that's shared between pedestrians and vehicles. And if you look further on in that master plan, it calls out, different areas for different uses. So that's what the plan was for it. We had asked our engineer, Gordy Frazier, to put some cost estimates together to improve the drive. And there's really two options. 1 and 3 are both an asphalt drive and a gravel drive, but without culverts to handle the water. And option 2 and 4 are gravel and asphalt with culvert replacement. And you wouldn't want to improve that drive without doing that. Because you just have reoccurring problems in what we've seen over time. So these are just figures to give you an idea of what it might cost to improve that if you want to continue it to be used as it is. There is a decision, do you want it to make it non-motorized? Do you want to put gates at each end and just let golf carts drive through there? And actually, that's motorized, isn't it? People walking a dog, right? So you certainly reserve the right to change that. We've met with several stakeholders, as the supervisor indicated, with another meeting tomorrow, and what we found is they all have kind of competing interests, and none of them really seem to be the same. So we're gonna wrap up with them tomorrow, and, with a plan to come back to you at our first meeting in June for some action on what you'd like to see this look like, moving forward, whether it's upgrading the gravel that's already there with some, stormwater control, or do we want to put some gates up and just keep it a walking path? So, but we'll we'll put a good list together of what the stakeholders had said, include that in a packet so you can consider it, and then kind of make your decision.
Molly?
Is this board feeling like this is our responsibility to improve Red Drive? That we should be paying money to improve Red Drive?
I don't think so.
Are you asking me if this?
It's a question. I see a lot of numbers here, and I guess we should decide whether this is on us, and if it's not on us, maybe the stakeholders should decide, and they can figure out how to pay for it.
I think it would be nice for me to know, going into the meeting tomorrow, what your direction might be, and then tell the stakeholders that, maybe the board isn't interested in improving it, how much are you willing to contribute?
Maybe we can ask each board member to give us a quick.
Because we own that property, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
just
It's
put
just
it in
located
perspective.
on
Right.
our
Yeah, it's not first of all, let's clarify, it's not a road.
Right.
It's a
not
trail.
Drive.
It's basically a driveway. It's owned by us. And so we have to weigh, we could do everything from nothing to fixing it, to having the stakeholders help pay for it. There's a broad range of possibilities. So if you look at the master plan, if we decide, okay, we're going to follow what the master plan is for the commons, it would be a unpaved trail that can be driven on, like a driveway, but it's I guess the best way I could put it would be a pedestrian, non-motorized trail first, but shared if somebody was using it as like a driveway. I think most people would agree that paving is not a good idea, because if you improve it to the road quality, it's going to become a thoroughfare, and then that would eliminate the possibility of it being used as a non-pedestrian walkway. People wouldn't be able to walk on it and dodge cars. So I think anything we do needs to be shared with the stakeholders, in my opinion. That's what we're going to kind of have discussion tomorrow about. Everybody has their wants. So we have it on, because we're meeting with those folks tomorrow, we put it on tonight just to exactly this, get the board's feel for what you want to see or what your direction you want us to take tomorrow.
Okay. Well, if I may,
Yes, sir.
my feeling is that a cart path or walking path, bicycle path could be maintained relatively easily and would be useful to everybody except Greenspire. And I don't think we have any responsibility to maintain a road that doesn't exist. And it would have to be maintained, even if you did
Right.
put down 2 coats of asphalt, it's only a matter of time and the ground beneath it will give. So that'd be my feeling.
I agree with you, Joe. I don't think it should be asphalt. You're right, because it's going to be a thoroughfare and everybody's going to be zipping down there. Gravel road for pedestrian and like a driveway possible. I would go for that, but I would like to see it not really for cars.
Yeah. all right.
And we still have to replace that culvert no matter what we do? if
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend any improvements to that road without putting, and quite frankly, Eagle will require us to Eagle's not gonna let us just go in there and add more dirt and fill.
Even if
Eagle would
we're making
require,
it
Eagle would more than likely require us to put a culvert in that could handle the water that's coming down that hill.
Even if we're making it a path.
Right. Yeah, any work we would do in there, they would require, that's the problem. That road is acting like a dam right now.
Yeah, it's not a road.
well, the trail, the driveway is acting like a dam. It's holding all the water back. So before we did any work in there, we're confident in conversations we've had that Eagle would require a culvert first, and then but that would also help the road improvements last longer if that water is flowing through and not backing up as well.
I know that the Barnes area has a parking problem, and they use the school, and they've been
Right.
running a shuttle there. What are the alternatives? That's not our responsibility. I'm not saying that, but I wouldn't want to get too far ahead of that. We've got that nice park there,
Yep.
and if nobody can get there, but it might be that it's golf carts. And, so in my mind, we fix the culvert. If we need to do some excavation to keep the gravel and stones out of the creek, then we do that at the same time, and we gravel it as a bike path.
Any other comments? Yeah, Chloe?
I like the idea of I like keeping it gravel, because that encourages slow traffic, but I think cars should still be able to go through there personally. So I like the option 4 with the ability of cars to still be able to use it. I don't mind cost sharing in it because it is our road, and liability wise, we're responsible for it. If someone gets hurt, we would be responsible. So I feel like we should maintain it. And in our CIP meeting, Jennifer did say if the culvert's put in, then there should be less of the water issues so less need to be maintaining it with the culvert in. And then currently, the rec authority is the one maintaining this, so I guess maybe we could get it in writing that they would still maintain it. If they've been maintaining it all along, then there wouldn't be maintenance cost to us because they've been maintaining it. So my hope is we can fix it, put the culvert in, and then it will just be hopefully an improved road from what it is now. But I like the flow of traffic. I don't think we need less roads. I think we need more flow for safety reasons, and for just, I don't know, the ease so the public can get through from one park to another. I know personally I've gone from the trailhead to the gardens and drove that little strip of road. So personally, I'd like to see car traffic still on it, but.
Lori, Elaine?
I've driven that road probably more than many people in this room as a former Greensboro parent. I've also probably replaced some wheels and tie rods and whatnot from that overly bumpy road. And most of the time just took the alternate path around, unless for some reason I had to get to Meyer right away, right? So that being said, knowing the area, knowing it's a wetland, knowing it through, 15, 16 years or more, that road's never been in good shape. I would never pave it because we would just be paving it every year with potholes and washing out from underneath. I personally think, though I could be convinced if some of the stakeholders had some really good reasoning not to, I think it adds to the park-like setting, both of the Botanic Gardens and the new trails back there, to not have it be drivable. That it's walkable, that you could take a cart over to the historic barns to go to your event. I think it adds to the nature and the beauty of the place to not have it be a road. And it's not that far to drive around.
Right.
I mean, it's really not far at all to drive around.
I agree with the majority of the board that it should stay as a trail. It needs to stay as a gravel. It's wetland. You're going to be repairing it every year, like you said. We do every year as it is. I just think it needs to stay as a trail.
And our hope is that the culverts will not need to be repaired every year. That's kind of the goal. And there's really haven't been a comprehensive culvert program put in there in 100 years, probably, we're guessing.
That could convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
Could Jennifer come up and explain during our CIP meeting just kind of what the improvements would include and how that would help to keep the maintenance lower? We got to talk to her during our CIP meeting, so I thought it might be helpful if she'd come up and explain what exactly the improvements would entail. Sorry, Jennifer.
No. Good evening, everyone. Jennifer Graham, Gordy Frazier. The premise around the upgrades, and I mean, there's still going to be maintenance regardless, which I mean, we all are cognizant of, but with any new road construction and rehab, that ultimately working through Road Commission MDOT design guidelines, we want to have roads that have a crown. If you drive that road right now, it almost leaves the presence that, if anything, the road's actually lower than the surrounding area. So that's naturally where all the rainwater is going to go, and it's going to create potholes and, you know, anything. If any of you guys have gravel driveways at home, I know I do too. You know, depending on the topography and the way that the stormwater and surface water sheds, it exacerbates the situation. And this one in particular, we had a culvert fail, the main one, and then the alignment of the, or not the alignment, but the elevation of the road is lower. So we're getting a lot of washouts. The goal with the cost estimates is to actually undercut any of the poor soil conditions. We would, I don't know what world that Eagle wouldn't require this, because we went through this, as you guys saw, through the trail, for the North Trail, all the mandates that Eagle imposed with stream crossings, and that was just for footbridge. That same thing in this instance is they're going to want to see, if anything, a box span culvert with wings, concrete. Right now what's there, it's a corrugated metal 12-inch culvert that's the top of it's rusted out. And so that's going to have to be replaced, but the goal being is build the road up. So the storm water and the surface water will continue to shed, thus providing being less prone to washouts, potholes. But, you know, over time, you're still going to have to add more gravel. You know, depending on the use, people may want it brined. You know, I mean, you fall into that category depending on the type of use. So hopefully your amount of maintenance, it's the same, it's just not every year. So to most of your comments, I think you guys understand that, but that's the intent with the design, is to build it up. But as far as Eagle's concerned, all of that is in wetland, and it's a regulated unnamed stream. So by building the road up, they consider that to be a fill. So that falls under needing a Eagle Land and Water Management Division permit. And that's where, no matter if it's a drive road, trail, just for pedestrian, there's going to be a need for a culvert upgrade, in their opinion, if anticipating what they would ask for. So hopefully that helps answer some of those questions.
Okay. Thanks, Jennifer.
Question before she sits down.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how much, if the board decided that they wanted to have just a pedestrian, maybe a golf cart, bike path through here, do you have an estimate which one of these would kind of fall into that?
Because the estimate that I had given you guys for option 4 with the gravel, that was intended to kind of follow your private drive ordinance, where we're around, 16 to 18 feet wide. So this one, if you're looking at pedestrian, I'm guessing we're probably, half that width? It's not necessarily half the cost, but I mean, you could probably easily reduce it by 30%, because you still have mobilization, grading, earthwork, that if I just off the cuff it'd probably be a 30% reduction, which I have to do math and it's late. So you're probably still around $70,000 or so.
Yeah, it's more the, we've been dealing with Red Drive for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to decide, is this going to be a roadway, or is this going to be something that's going to be part of our park system and just a nice place to walk and ride a bike and maybe have a golf cart.
Right.
And not make it so that it's appealing for somebody to
Drive on it.
get in their car and head out and go through the park in their vehicle.
You know, like I said, I stated earlier, when you look at the overall master plan of the commons, it's designed as, you know, kind of like walking trail first, driveway second. It's not intended to be a road, it's not intended to be a thoroughfare. It's
become that.
it's a drive, it's a driveway, so.
Well, it's interesting, because Left Foot Charlie's is on Red Drive. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
it's a long,
it's a
it's a
long,
road.
yeah,
Parts
it is at
are
that end of
obviously
it,
much
but,
better than others.
but within the master plan, that specific
Yeah.
section is
Yeah.
identified differently.
Mm-hmm.
That one section is identified as the walking trail drive.
Correct.
So you think you got your answers to go to the meeting
I
tomorrow?
think we got enough information to work with.
I do, yep. You know, our engineer was able to be here at this meeting, but I don't believe she's gonna be here at our next one. So that's why I thought it was important to talk about this today and have her here as a resource for you, so.
Well, if the majority of the board is headed in one direction, let's head there. Not have her do a whole bunch of other estimates.
We're gonna have 5 or 6 stakeholders in the room tomorrow. We'll learn what,
if
we'll see what
got
they.
some-
Right.
I mean, our goal would be to come up with some sort of an agreement for repair and maintenance, a maintenance agreement between all the stakeholders. So we can address all, if we're able to get those folks to chip in on a repair and come up with a maintenance agreement. But ultimately, it is this board's decision what we do. It's our property, it's our trail,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on. If everybody's got all the comments we want to make on Red Drive, move on to new business. Consideration of the South Airport Road and Logan's Landing Steering Committee. Our Road Commission representative, Mr. Al Lehman, is here to talk about that.
Who has a very tired voice. Thank you for letting me speak to you. The Road Commission is hoping to move forward with a community-based solution in the South Airport corridor. We've talked about it many times, and there's a lot of people would be involved in this. I'm here to encourage you to appoint 2 members to the steering committee, who will then engage with a long list of stakeholders and your staffs. But the group in our mind is too big to manage this all at once. We can't get all 50 of us in a room, and I think it's going to be big. I think the steering committee, hopefully 2 of your board members, you know, I would suggest that the supervisor and somebody else who has a real interest and who has a fair amount of time. I have stated publicly, I believe the Road Commission should try to come up with a solution within 1 year. And by government standards, that's pretty fast, especially when you have so many stakeholders. Now that means we decide how to approach this, the things that you guys control, zoning and stuff like that. The Road Commission being really, really focused on the resilient transportation, and then many other groups, including, you know, there's been plans. I was even shown one at our last board meeting that Alyssa had, Commissioner Corn's wife, and John Syke. It came from a long time ago, and it was from the parks. It came from this board that somehow trail users could get from Medalley Park, which is a fabulous resource, across Airport Road and down the river valley all the way to the Beitner Bridge someday when it's replaced. I think it's going to be quite a task, and I think whoever you commit to it, I would hope could plan on at least 2 meetings a month, and this could be perhaps 4 meetings a month, because we're not going to have time to. We're going to come up with some solutions. We're going to take a bunch of input, and then we're going to have to vet each one of these things. One of it's financial. You know, we're going to need some finance expertise, frankly, because I think the complete solution is going to be a complex set of financing options. I haven't seen. We've applied for some grants before and have had not very good luck. We have some things happening right now trying to reinvigorate that, and we're going to need planning, financing, some engineering, and these will become subcommittees that would work underneath the steering committee. And I think each one of these things will head down and head back up with information, and I think it's essential, as somebody who lives in Garfield Township, not from my position as a being on the Road Commission board member, that the Garfield Township just be involved. That this is a corridor that is not just a road commission question. And the road commission has tried to steer these big projects before. And my position on the road commission, I am 100% convinced that this needs to be a community solution. So I'm asking you to pick two people who are ready to go to work. Maybe you guys have already put some thought into it. The county board is prepared to select their two delegates on June 3rd, their next meeting. And I hope we can start convening right after that. So I think time is of the essence. Every time I drive over through the Logan's Landing Committee and I stare at, we've got the shoulder closed, and I think we're probably going to keep it closed to keep the heavy trucks and stuff away from there. And we're probably going to do some mitigation work with the culverts. But this process is not going to be fast, right? Everybody understands that this is fairly complex. It's going to be, the least expensive is very expensive. And it's going to take time. A lot of other governmental agencies will be involved. But I think we need to work with haste. I think our community knows we need to do this. And I can't imagine moving forward without you guys.
I think so. When are you, I mean, you guys start in June, you're looking for us to appoint tonight? Or?
I was hoping you guys had thought about it and would, Joe, but I'm not on the Garfield Township board. I'm just.
Oh, I get it. No, we obviously saw it on the, we've talked about it. I didn't know if we were, obviously we talked about it, and I'd be happy to be involved. I would expect that I should.
I would love to be involved.
Does anybody else have any interest in making that commitment?
You know, that's my baby.
All right.
I
Well,
was
don't
waiting
know.
for it to flood.
Okay. Yeah, well, so, all right. Is the road commission overseeing the steering committee?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
And I think your board, and the county board and our board, will stay in sync because we're going to be really in close communications. And I can't imagine us moving forward without moving in unison. And I'll repeat this, the community expects us to get this done. Mm-hmm. The week or 10 days that South Airport Road was closed, I mean, even into the city of Traverse City, the 8th Street was a horrible parking lot. Mm-hmm. And it was never designed to take our traffic counts are around 40,000. You can't figure out where else to put them. I think maybe you could go as far as say the economic stability of our community depends on this because there's so much east-west traffic that's necessitated by this. And there's, I myself am not committed to any plan. I'm real open to whatever we vision, as long as we vision it together.
Al, quick question. How does this tie into the regional board, Chuck, you were a part of it, TTCI and federal funds, and what's the connection here?
I think the scope, the TTCI and the whole Metropolitan Planning Authority has a greater scope it goes all the way up to Bingham Township. Right. And I noticed when we looked at they're not planning and they haven't visioned beyond the things in their policy is they don't vision beyond what they suspect to receive in revenue because they don't want to waste.
That's not true.
Oh, that's what.
There's almost, the limits are much, much greater there than they are here. Okay. You just have to start the process. I don't know who you were talking to, but.
Okay, well, I read We've had a few years for this to come up, and I know South Airport Road has been on everybody's list, but there has not been a comprehensive plan brought forward by any other planning authority.
So you would work with, or this committee would work with TTCI? No?
That was not our intent, but we could. Certainly, I think every government agency here, including MDOT, will be involved.
Yeah, I would think so. It just seems like TTCI is about getting traffic around our area, and I don't know about you, but Airport Road is pretty much the major thoroughfare other than the Parkway.
Yeah, it's a big. Like I said, it's 40,000 cars around before it gets busy in the summer, and the traffic counts on the Bay on 31 or less than that, which is really, you know, a state highway that has state funding available for. I've had people suggest, well, maybe that should be Business 31, South there should be. So there could be other types of state and federal funding for it. It is a primary road, so that's good, but there might be other options available to us. I think the group in general, I gave you a list on the second page of who I thought would be at least included minimally. And I've spoken with stakeholders, everybody privately I could, to say they want and need a solution. I think even your zoning is, you know, John's been visioning with a group.
I think that the communication is, as you were saying, is one of the keys. And I think we're fortunate that our manager now, Dan, is an excellent communicator. The previous manager answered every question with, "I'll get that information and call you back." And then he never called. For years.
That's why we're
It was like
replaced
a
him.
standing joke.
Yeah.
So, thank you for bringing in somebody who knows what he's doing.
You know, the next TTCI meeting is June 17th, so maybe we get together and make sure Dan's at least aware of what's going on and we bring it up as a topic.
Yeah. Our staff is going to be real tight with this.
Right.
But it's going to be a big group and hard to manage. And I looking at your number here, 7, it's a nice manageable number as far as from the leadership team.
Yes.
Let me just make a comment. You got a lot of political people here on County Board of Commissioners, this board. My personal opinion, you need somebody on there with a good engineering background and somebody with a good finance background. Somebody who knows how to go out there and get different grants and.
That would certainly be the subcommittee's work to do.
And then they'll just bring it to
They'll continually bring these things up and down. I think speed is somewhat, again, driving over there, looking at the culverts, thinking, we better have some answers.
Yeah. Well, when you say planning here under committee advisory group, that local planning and economic development entities probably includes your TTCI or whatever that is, all of those transportation groups.
Yeah, I certainly haven't outlined every person we would include, but again, I can't imagine this going forward without it being without broad community support.
Yeah. Good luck.
Any other comments?
Do you need a motion to?
Yeah, motion to appoint. If nobody else is interested, Denise, we'll appoint Denise and I to the steering committee.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Joe McManus and Denise Schmuckel to the Logan's Landing Steering Committee.
I'll second that.
Motion made and supported. There's to appoint myself and Denise to the steering committee at Al's request. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. One other information point from the Road Commission. Thursday, the Hartman light is supposed to go on. The power's hooked up. The stuff is hung. We have it scheduled for Thursday. I think it could have been ready to go Friday, but before the holiday weekend is a bad time to introduce people to a new traffic light. So I was told just a little while ago that Thursday's the day for you to have that information.
Thanks, Al.
All right. Next item, consideration of the proposed drinking water state revolving fund project plan, presentation and public comment. I believe that Jennifer is going to come up and talk to us about this.
Hello. I will do my best to try to keep it brief. I know you guys got a big agenda tonight. Or I could do it longer. I mean,
Brief is good. So.
thank you. I appreciate that direction. So I've had discussions with the supervisor and the township manager on the subject matter already. Most of you are familiar, over the past 2-3 years, we have historically been applying to Drinking Water State Revolving Fund for just in general, your capital improvement projects. And this year, we're kind of taking a different approach, and a lot of it's just coming out of access to funding and legislature, because historically, because they're all scored, it's a scoring rubric, and with your median household income for the area, needs for the project, your stellar record with Eagle, and maintaining compliance, and not having any administrative consent orders or any bad things aside from pipes breaking, which isn't our fault, but just you guys have continued to maintain a very quality integrity system, and so with that, it doesn't lend itself to offer many grant opportunities for you guys when you do a good job. But this opportunity presented itself, and it started in December. And I guess, Chris, you want me to just prompt you on pages?
Yeah, if you could.
The background that you guys see here is just kind of provides an overview as far as regulations that you have to comply with as an owner of municipal water system, with water reliability studies, capital improvement plans. I mean, you guys continue to maintain all of that through your engineer, contracting with the county DPW as well. In addition, you have asset management plans, water rate analyses, which the last one you did was in 2021 with Dawn Lund with UFS, and she's currently working on one now to accommodate and account for upgrades that not only your capital improvement projects, but the ones that the city's implementing that you're responsible for a portion of your share. And this is related to both water and sewer that she's working on. And I had touched on this before with your last drinking water application. Our focus for this one in particular specifically is for lead and copper rule. And so the state implemented in 2018 lead and copper rules that I'll talk about in another slide forthcoming. But the next couple ones just give a highlight of your infrastructure. I know some of you guys have gone through and done tours, and anyone that, I think everybody did. I have a great picture of a few of you with our tank down there. That was just yesterday. So this is just for information for you guys, for the public, because I believe, Chris, you put this on your website, and as is the next slide. You already had me supply, storage, and distribution, so I'll just keep skipping ahead. Okay. Getting the nod. Lead copper rules, basically with that, they were imposed in 2018, and EPA enforced it, and each state is responsible to enforce it, mandate, and implement it, and then they pass it on to you guys as owners of your infrastructure. So the first step that happened was a community was supposed to submit a preliminary inventory in 2020, which was done through your DPW. And basically, preliminary meaning, have we got any lead lines? No. I mean, that's pretty much what was submitted. That was the extent of the work. Considering and accounting for the age of your system, there really, we haven't had any concerns because a lot of your infrastructure was installed in the late 70s, and a lot of the focus, if there was any lead components, and it wasn't like specifically a lead pipe was installed, but it could just be a lead gooseneck or fitting, a lot of that fell and was within on private property. Anything from the curb stop, which is where the right-of-way, public right-of-way or easement line resides, to within the home. That's where we anticipated a lot of those may exist, because with older homes that dated back to the 60s, 50s, that's what was installed back then. Ultimately, EPA began further imposing regulations requiring more sampling and responsibility for you as a municipality. You're now responsible for not only the infrastructure you own up to the right-of-way line, but to within 18 inches of the home. So congratulations, you guys got to account for all those private leads now. And that's where, I've stepped in working with DPW is, there are a handful that we believe may or may not have lead components that we're cognizant of, specifically in Garfield Township. And as that responsible party enforced through the EPA, their requirement is those all have to be replaced by the year 2037, which will be here before we know it, probably for me. But I guess what I do want to, as we move on to the next slide, in talking about why lead's concerning, and that's all information passed on from the health department. The DPW continues to monitor and sample for lead and copper. They started having to do it every 6 months, and then as we continue to get non-detect, which we have not, meaning we don't detect anything in your drinking water. You guys are not at risk. We've never had any positive detections for lead or copper. They're allowed to continue to extend out the sampling requirements, and now they can do it every 5 years. And it's not just one location. For a community of your size, they have about 20 locations that they sample throughout, including areas that we think may or may not be lead service lines. So I just wanted you guys to know that we do not have any lead, when we're doing water sampling, any hits for lead or copper in the drinking water. I'm bringing this to your attention first and foremost because it's a regulatory requirement, and then also just as an added measure to protect your drinking water quality and your customers. So with that, you guys have 3,000, just under 3,400 connections in your system, and working with DPW staff, there's potentially 200 that may or may not have lead. We don't know, and when I say lead, it could be even galvanized too. Eagle includes that in their inventory, and so on that little list, those are kind of the neighborhoods, and a lot of those are just because they're older water systems, older homes. They could even be water systems and water main that we collected and got from the city because they have considerably older infrastructure, and even just looking at the commons, which in the very near future we may be hopefully taking on that service district too. So that's where these are all from. This is not infrastructure associated really with any water main that you guys have put in. It's just based on age of homes or main that we've obtained from the city. There's various funding sources. Normally, if this opportunity hadn't presented itself, it would just be something that we would assign and put in our capital improvement plan and budget and account for at that time. But as I'd started out this presentation, Eagle had gained access to about $330 million in funds that the state of Michigan collected because EPA had assigned a huge bucket of money. The other states didn't use it, and Michigan's very proactive in this, and so we said we would absolutely love to take your surplus. So that's that money. And so it's a specific pool of money, $336 million, that is dedicated just to lead service line. And the scoring rubric it accounts for income, but it also accounts for other parameters, such as if you're going to replace all 100% of those leads, if you're going to have them done in a timely manner. So I'm here because with this, I feel it's a really good funding opportunity for you guys with the scoring rubric and a good chance for you guys to have access to approximately 50% grant to cover that cost. And so the terms of that would be for a 30-year at roughly 2.75%. With the report, I had to outline the need for the project, impact on the system, which we're talking service lines. The goal is to be trenchless and not have any service disruption and install new lines for those residents after we go in and investigate those 200 leads. Of those that we determine have galvanized or lead components, they would get replaced. Throughout the vetting, we assigned cost estimates. We had to look at different alternatives, and really the only alternative was to do nothing or do the replacement. With that, in costs, assuming the worst case, let's say all 200 had to be replaced, and we're going through asphalt, and any permitting. Some of this work might be in public right away. We're assuming a worst case scenario, and we have about a price tag of about $3 million to do that in totality. And from that, I took a look at what the loan payment terms would be, what impact that would have on user rates, and for you guys and your customer base, it really translates to about $1.30 increase to your customers if you were to implement this project right now. That full amount, worst case scenario, they all had to be replaced, 100% loan. And what I'm hoping for, and that's why we're applying, is we're going to get half of it as grant and would translate to no increase to your user costs. And realistically, it might only be half of the leads need to be replaced. But we have to start somewhere with the application. So that's the steps we went through in assuming a worst case scenario. And I just wanted to get your feedback on it, thoughts, and it's due June 1st.
Yeah.
So, yay. I mean, the report's done. You guys had a draft of it. And then the next step was for me to provide this PowerPoint, any feedback you guys might have, any community feedback you might get. We also had in the advertisement a notice of if people wanted to provide communication in advance, they could email it to us. We did not receive any from anyone. This was advertised on the DPW's website and our website, so any water customers would have access to this. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
I don't hear any questions. We are going to open up for if anybody has any public comments. So I think we're pretty detailed report, and I think we're pretty much up to speed on it. So at this time, it's not technically a public hearing, but I will open up for public comment on this topic. If anybody would like to comment on the grant application for the lead replacements, feel free to come up and let us know what you have to say. Being nobody's doing that, we'll bring it back to the board for your consideration. There's resolution 2026-15-T in front of you.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2026-15-T, final project planning document for water system improvements and designated and authorized project representative.
I will second that motion.
Motion made and supported to approve resolution 2026-15-T. Any further discussion on that from the board? Hearing none, Ann, give it a roll on that, please.
Muckle.
Yes.
Corn.
Yes.
Gustinelli.
Yes.
Ellen McManus.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
And Jane McManus.
Yes, thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Jennifer.
you. And just so you know, yes, this will get submitted, then we wait to hear from Eagle where we score. And if we get approved, the next step is I'm coming to you guys to decide and us delegate if we want to move ahead or not. So I thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. Okay, item C, consideration of bids for River East Phase 3. These are starting on page 199 of your packet. Chris, did you want to kick this one off? Or you want
Yep. So, during the budget process, we budgeted funds to work on Phase 3 at River East, which included a bathroom and a parking lot. And I'm pretty sure everybody remembers the course of time where we were going to do a prefab bathroom. The company was not able to deliver that in a timely manner. We then chose last year to go a different route with one that was built on site. Gordy Frazier solicited bids for the parking lot and the site work for the bathroom, and then separate bids for the actual construction of the bathroom. So this particular agenda item is related to the parking lot and the site work for the bathroom. There were, in her letter, there were 4 bids received, with Molon Excavating being the lowest bid at $344,620.82, and then AJ's came in second. So we, let's see, share my screen here. So if you look up on the screen, we budgeted $493,633 for Phase 3, and then also expect $250,000 from ARPA funds, for a total amount of $743,633 for the Phase 3 project. So when you consider the low bid contractor cost and the engineer opinion for the bathroom at $275, Phase 3 for that project should come in at about $619, which is $100,000 and more under budget. So, which is a good thing. So, at this point, I would like the board to consider entering into a construction agreement with a contractor for the site work and the parking lot. And as part of, let's see. Part of your consideration, I asked our engineer to reach out to the contractors to determine their availability, because this has been dragging on for quite a long time. I wanted you to know, okay, here are your bids, when can you start? Because I think that would be important for you to know. So if I just quickly find.
Now granted, whoever says when they're gonna start, this is gonna take about a month, so our park's gonna be closed for about a month, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we would expect to close down the park while they do the parking lot and the sidewalk work.
Would you have to do it for the sidewalk?
You know, talking with Jennifer, probably out of fairness for the contractors to complete all, or shut it down, just so there isn't people walking around and creating dangerous situations or having people impact what they're working on.
Well, basically, as I know Chris is looking up some paperwork here, but in addition to the actual bids, because of the timing and we wanted to put another phase in it and look at when are they available, how quickly can they get in there and do the work and get in, because we know we're going to have to close it down. So we wanted to factor in how quickly they can start, how quickly they can get the job done and get back out. And, I think when you look at the three, there was one company that can get in there really quickly, start right away here in June and be out before the 4th of July. And get it done, I believe they said, 17 days?
Correct. I got it listed up here if you.
Yeah, 17 days, where
Those
some of
were
the
the-
other contractors were gonna take 2 months to get the job done and not start until the 1st of July. So when you factor it in, not just the low bid, but factor in the timeliness, it was quite a benefit, I think, to us to get it done as soon as we can. And then we can get this phase done. We're gonna open up the bids next week on the actual bathroom building. Quicker this gets done, the quicker we get the bathroom built as well.
Just to reiterate, we had a meeting prior to this, and AJ's, I know, is higher in the cost by, what, $30,000, Chris? However, they're the ones that could come in starting the beginning of next week and hopefully have it open by July 4th. And it's my opinion that I'd rather go with AJ's because they're gonna be the less amount of time. And the other ones are gonna say, one says we could start sometime in June and it'll take 30 days. Another one said we might be able to start at the end of June and it'll take 60 days. So I'm looking at a company that's willing to start in possibly next week. And if it is $30,000 more, so be it. I mean, this has been going on a long time. And I know as a member of the Parks and Rec Commission, I'd like to see it done as soon as possible.
I agree with Denise.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we use AJ's at a quote price of $373,826.
Support.
Motion made, supported to enter into a contract with AJ's Excavating for Phase 3 of River East at an amount of $373,826. And even if we go with this bid, it's still well under budget as well for what we have budgeted. So I'll open it up for discussion. Yeah, Molly?
They will start it in 2 weeks, or they think they can start
They
it?
said in his email that they would be starting the first part of June.
They said it would start in, it would take them 17 days. They'd be out by July 3rd and be able to reopen the park on the 4th of July. Park.
They look 5 days a week. I mean, they're looking at rain too, possibly. So they may even be done before then too. If they get in their first part of June, they may be done before the 4th of July.
Any other comments, questions on this one? Okay. And can we have a roll call on that, please?
Sure. Schmuckel?
Yes.
Was that McCumber who seconded?
Al McManus.
Oh, okay. Alan McManus.
Yes.
McCumber.
Yes.
Lapp.
Yes.
Augustinelli.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
And Jay McManus.
Yes. And as I said, next week, we're opening the bids, I believe, next week on the bathroom building. So keep your fingers crossed on that. So. Okay.
So I'm just curious what's going on with the Commons project, because it just says it's.
That's item E. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, got it.
Got D first. Now coincidentally, this next one is a consideration of invoice from AJ's Excavating for $9,000 for contract termination. If you remember, AJ's was awarded the original contract bid for the bathroom. And then we couldn't get the pre-built bathroom, it dragged on, and they experienced some expenses, and to terminate, and come to a mutual agreement and terminate the contract, which is important to continue the eligibility for the ARPA funds. We were liable to pay those expenses that they've already incurred. So what we're looking for is the approval to pay that. Now, there's a very good chance that we've awarded them a bid. They may consider that an extension of the contract, and they may not. But we don't know that. But that's not really what is under consideration. But they may waive that anyway. We don't know. But we are liable for this.
Do we need a motion or just?
Chris, can you handle it?
So, given the decision on the prior agenda item, I think it would be best to not take action on this. Let me talk with that company.
Oh, okay.
And see what they would consider. If they would require us or expect us to pay that or rescind it. So, you know, I feel like they may look at this as a continuation of the former agreement and be okay with us not paying it with the new business, but I don't know. I'll talk to them and let you know.
I do have a question. What is the amount that we have to come before the board before we can pay it out? Is it $5,000 or $10,000?
5,000.
Is it 5? Okay, because I was thinking if it was 10, it would be very easy to do. That's 5.
But we wait till the next board meeting
Okay.
in 2 weeks.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's on the agenda. I guess we would just entertain a motion to table this till our next meeting.
I make a motion we table it till the next meeting.
Support.
Motion made and supported to table item D, consideration of the invoice from AJ's for $9,000 for contract termination. Any further discussion on the motion? None. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Final item, consideration of bids for the Grand Traverse Commons Trail. Chris, go ahead and kick that one off.
So this is a project that's been going on for a while as well to build a mile loop around the commons, an accessible trail. We had budgeted $290,600 from township funds. We also budgeted $300,000 this year that we were expecting to receive back in the form of a DNR grant as a reimbursement. So if you, there were 2 bids received. The lowest bid was $1,166,826. You can see that was almost double of what we originally thought. The reason being is, you know, when we had to work with Eagle, navigating the wetlands, there were a lot of changes that we had to make from the original game plan. It also included a bridge, to be a pedestrian bridge, and also boardwalks. You know, in an area where we thought we might be able to do a boardwalk, has to be a bridge to be over the wetland area, so it increases the cost. So when you consider how much we budgeted, the total cost, it's in the negative of $576,000 to complete that. There is an opportunity, and again, I'll yield to our engineer on her thoughts and some guidance about going back to the contractors to see if there's any adjustments that can be made to bring that cost down. Also, if you look up on the screen, there's other items that we budgeted for in the parks budget. Red Drive, Trailhead and Engineering, $215,000. Signage and wayfinding, $100,000. We budgeted $50,000 to dredge Olson's Pond. Collectively, those equal $365,000. It's possible that you can reallocate those funds, repurpose them, so to speak, and put it towards the commons. Talking with staff internally, with the commons project, it's actually going to improve the entrance where Red Drive is into the commons. So, you know, building a very, you know, high-end trailhead isn't important just yet. You know, maybe just a sign initially. And the signage and wayfinding, you know, we still have to do, you know, an inventory of all of our facilities in planning and figuring out what exactly we want our wayfinding to look like and signage. And we feel like, you know, the rest of this year leading up to the budget season will give us time to figure out what our needs are and what those costs are, and then request that in the budget for 2027 and actually do the work then. And the Olson's Pond dredging is not a huge priority that could be moved on to future years and done at a later time. So you have these within our budget and can just reallocate them to the commons if you want to. There's also 100,000 plus cost savings on the River East project, you know, but we don't know where that bathroom will come in yet. We just have an engineer opinion of costs. What we'd ideally like to have happen is, you know, if it's permissible to work with the contractors to reduce, potentially find cost reductions, and figure out what that true number is, and then when the bathroom numbers come in next week, we'll have a little bit more information to make a decision on this. We'll know where we sit budget-wise.
Yeah, so basically, the committee was really looking, we weren't sure if we're going to be ready to take action tonight. So this is another, we're going to like to table it. We'll have the bathroom bids next week. We'll see. So there are, there's very good chance between the items that we might postpone till next year and the savings on the River East. We could still come in on budget, which is what we'd like to do. We won't know for a week or so. There's not a real rush on awarding this bid yet. So really like to wait 2 weeks and make a decision on this. So really table the issue tonight at this point. But there's also a chance, because the bids came in, the Eagle really complicated matters with some of these creek and crossings and wetland crossing in the commons. That's what elevated the price, was getting the right. But there were really wide boardwalks, I think 12 feet or something along those lines. So they can be narrower. We can narrow those down and maybe we have some cost savings with narrowing those bridges down. We're still plenty wide and safe, and then have some other cost savings and have a better idea from a cost standpoint in a couple weeks, if that makes sense.
I would make a motion to delay making the decision for a couple of weeks.
I support it.
Motion made and supported to table item E, consideration of the Grand Traverse County Trails North Loop bid. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, next item is public comment, our second and final public comment of the evening. If anybody'd like to come forward and make comments on any item they haven't not already talked about, now's the time to do that.
Justin Reed, talking about, excuse me, talking about Logan's Landing. One thing about Logan's Landing, I've seen businesses go and come with Logan's Landing. One thing that's a deterrent with Logan's Landing is the fact it's a floodplain, and if something happens, trying flood insurance is not going to happen. For example, the YMCA. The YMCA cannot get any flood insurance, so as Garfield Township is a tenant for the parks in the building there, is Garfield Township had to bail them out because you can't have any flood insurance in the floodplain area. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nobody coming forward, close the second public comment. Any other business come before the board this evening? Seeing none, we are adjourned.